Is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, coming to you on this beautiful Tuesday evening, December 5th, right here from Lubbock, Texas. Hope everybody had a fantastic day. Hope everything went your way today. Half of it did. We know that, right? Half of it probably didn't. And it was all balanced out. So I know that's how the world happened today. Just depends on how we want to look at it. So, yeah, we had a good show last night. It was a little deep, it was a little serious, it was a little bit mean, I think, probably. And sometimes you just got to come with it like that, right? You just got to get after it. And we got into our taking health to church night, and we talked about Isaiah and Matthew and Luke and the whole virgin birth and what we believe in, and we try to tie it together there at the end with about the whole belief system, and do we really believe in that being healthy could actually make a difference? That's kind of what we try to do. So it was a little bit of an intense show, and if you're interested in it, you want to go back and watch it, you can catch it on our Facebook page. You can catch it on YouTube at Health from the Rock. That's the at sign at Health from the Rock on YouTube, and go to live, and all of those videos are on there. All the videos that we have are on there. So if you want to go back and watch some of those, you can catch us also on the Rock Health and Wellness Center's Facebook page as well, if you're out there. And you guys that are watching all that, you know that if you're watching it from those social media platforms. If you're listening to us on the radio, you're on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio or 1420 AM Lubbock Christian Nation. And so you might not be able to, if you didn't catch it while we were going live on the show, then you can always go back to those social media sites and watch the cast. And sometimes Ken will share our show on Walk by Faith Radio Facebook page as well. So you can find it out there if you need some help with it. And which we actually did today. I actually had to help one of my ladies, because I would imagine that most of you that are watching this show, you're probably a little bit older, and maybe it's a little bit difficult to find it. But if it's too hard for you to handle your social media, to figure it out, if you can't find us, if you don't know how to find us on social media, all you have to do is send us a text. Just send us a text, and we will we will help you set your social media up so that you can find our show. So if social media is a little bit difficult for you, um, you know who you are out there. You know that sometimes it's complicated. We've had some really good conversations in our staff meetings lately about Instagram posts and how we can get this education out to as many people as possible, and how to figure out how to get our Instagram to work. And I'm telling you, I'm one of those people that's a little bit illiterate when it comes to Instagram, TikTok, and all those other social media. I can handle Facebook okay, but that's about YouTube. I can handle YouTube because I love listening to all of the educational materials on YouTube. So YouTube's one of the, other than not the political stance of YouTube, but the functional stance of YouTube is fantastic. Like, you guys that never tried YouTube, you might consider it, because if you need to learn how to fix a toilet or change the electrical or the fuse box out of your washer and dryer. I did that one night. You want to learn how to tile the floor. You want to learn how to market yourself, or learn more about the Bible or whatever. Like, it's on YouTube. Whatever, YouTube has it out there. There's videos just like this. Some crazy guy from 6 to 7 every weeknight, talking on the radio, getting out there trying to talk about things, and that's what is out there on YouTube. So we're out there too. And we're out there for this reason: to try to make your life better. Like literally. Like, if I could just, I don't even know how much money I've spent on the seminars. I don't know how many hours of work that I've spent reading and studying and trying to learn. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing you all of that information to the best I can, and we're trying to work on it so that we can get better at it. But the value that you're getting from this show is there is a value. I don't know exactly how much. I don't know how much. If I had, I'd have to add up what an undergraduate degree costs, what a master's degree costs, what a doctorate of chiropractic degree costs, what 23 years at chiropractic would be, what 13 associate doctors and 20 massage therapists and unknown seminars and countless number of books and hours, the amount of time that I've spent studying this, there's a value to it. And you're getting it right here for free. It's not costing you a dollar. I'm sharing it with you because I want you to be healthier. That's what I want. I want you to be healthier. I want our world to be healthier. I want our city to be healthier. I want our nation to be healthier. I really believe, as much as I believe in that virgin birth that we were talking about last night, I really do believe that being healthier would make a difference for our planet. I think it would make a lot of difference if we all just chose to be healthier. I think our cities would be better cities. I think our states would be better states if we could get people to be healthier. So that's why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it every night. So if you're listening to the show, if you're watching the show back later, just know that's what it's all about. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create value in your life by sharing information about health. That's what we're doing. And I'm a chiropractor, and everything that we talk about is coming from a chiropractic perspective in the state of Texas, because I have to do that in order to keep my license and not get in trouble. So when I'm talking about something in the office, I'm talking about it from a subluxation standpoint. If you haven't heard that in a while, I'll just say it again. A subluxation is interference in your nervous system. And we work on physical, chemical, and mental emotional stress that interferes with your nervous system function, causing your body to break down. That's my job. That's what I do. And so everything that we talk about, everything that we show you, every article that we're talking about, all of it, my intention with all of it is to lead it back to subluxation so that you understand that interference in your nervous system causes your body to break down. And when your body breaks down, then you can't function as well as you'd like to. And that's what it's about. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. And I hope you're getting something from it. So we try to show at the beginning of each show, we try to show some praises, right? Some praises of the day, some conversations about what went on. And one of the ones that kind of hit me today was an 80-year-old plus. I'm not going to tell her full age, but an 80-year-old plus lady who is a very fit lady in our office, came to me, and she was kind of depressed today because she had fallen and hurt her shoulder, and she didn't really say much about it. And she'd gone to her medical doctor. They'd done a bunch of x-rays on her, and she just is not, they sent her to physical therapy. And one of the physical therapy places that she actually goes to, the place that we work with a lot here in town. And those people are fabulous people, and they do a great job. I'll actually share, that's physical therapy right here in Lubbock, Texas. Leslie Glenn and Robert Roten, they're fantastic at what they do. We've been colleagues for 20 years now, and they really do a great job over there. We've worked with dozens of patients together. There is no animosity between modern day chiropractors and modern day physical therapists that have some sort of vision to help people. There's not any animosity between modern day doctors and medical doctors and chiropractors for those who are trying to help people either. So both of those together are something that we are very proud of at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, that we try to get along with people because our goal is to help you live a healthy life. But the praise of the day, she came in and she was just depressed because she's been diagnosed with bursitis in her shoulder, and she's not able to lift weights at the gym. And it really aggravates her because she goes to the gym 4 days a week. So we went to work on that shoulder a little bit today to kind of help out with what's going on at physical therapy. And when she got off the table, she just raised her arm up. She was like, well, that's better. That's already better. And so it was a good moment. It was a good moment in the office to have that experience so that she could feel better about the way that she was functioning, and that we could get that to function properly. There's no reason to have bursitis in your shoulder. That doesn't even make any sense. Like bursitis, remember, anything that has itis on the end of it means inflammation. Arthritis, nephritis in your kidneys, right? Um, what is it? Cellulitis. You've heard those terms before, right? Itis means inflammation, and bursitis means inflammation of the bursa. So, what is a bursa? Well, a bursa is a little sac that usually sits right up underneath the tendon, between the tendon and the bone, so that when you're moving your shoulder, you're moving your arm, and that tendon is kind of coming around that corner a little bit so a muscle turns into a tendon, and a tendon attaches to a bone. And if you attach that to the bone, sometimes you put like a little fluid filled bag underneath that tendon so that that tendon can come over the top and not rub against that bone. So what happened? The tendon got inflamed, and they call it bursitis. Okay, the bursa is this, not the tendon. The tendon to get inflamed, that's tendonitis. Sorry, the bursa got inflamed, and they call it bursitis. So my question is, why is that happening? Not what, but why. So what do we do about it? We try to get the shoulder to function in the proper range of motion, fire the neurology, make sure the brain's talking to the shoulder properly, make sure the muscles are on in the shoulder, make sure all that's firing the way it's supposed to fire, and make sure the shoulder can move through its range of motion properly. And that way it decreases the inflammation on the bursa. And now the bursitis goes away, and she can lift weights in the gym, and she's happy. Simple, right there. So she was better when she left. That was a praise of the day, and I'm glad that happened. So last night, while we were going through the show, we got as I was doing the praise of last night's show and talking about one of the things that had happened to us in we were doing a nutritional evaluation, and the person doing the nutritional evaluation she's just done a fabulous job with her health. She's started following some of the things that we've recommended here in the office. She's seen tremendous results already, and so she's really doing a good job. And she had a question. She had a question about what were we measuring, and how were the supplements helping her, and what was exactly going on for her that was helping her function better. And she kind of wanted to know that, like, she wanted to know. I was listening to a podcast today on my way back from our satellite clinic in Littlefield, and one of the podcasters was talking about. He was talking about, you just when you're trying to communicate with someone, you just communicate the vacation, communicate the beach. Don't communicate the plane ride. And what he was trying to say right there was, you don't have to break down every single aspect of how you're going to get them there. Just tell them what it's going to be like when you get them there. Just explain the beach to them. Don't explain the plane ride to them. And boy, I just took a breath, and I was like, gosh, that's probably a good lesson for me to learn right there in communication, because I think and there's no doubt about it, and I know everybody that knows me knows this, and most of you guys that are listening to the show know this too. I spend way too much time talking about the plane ride and not sharing enough about the vacation, the beach. I don't paint the picture of the beach well enough because I'm so focused on the plane ride. Well, that's my job. My job is the plane ride. Your desire is the beach. And that was a great lesson for me today. I heard that thing so many times I've said that so many times that I was really glad that I got that lesson today. But the girl that was going through the nutritional reevaluation, she was kind of wanting to know a little bit about the plane ride. She had gotten to the beach already. She had seen the scenery. She had enjoyed the sunshine. She had listened to the waves, And now she was kind of asking a little bit about, okay, now that I've gone through this, I want to know more about what exactly is happening that's making this work better. And I thought it was a great question and statement that she was asking me about. Can you help me understand? Can you help me understand the plane ride? Basically, is what she was trying to say. And so I was helping her with the things that were in our office, and I was one of the things that we try to do is we try to the best of our ability, we try to accumulate objective technology. We try to accumulate some technology that gives us an objective look at what's going on. Like the X-rays. The lady in my praise today that fell and hurt her shoulder. She had fell and hurt her shoulder months ago. I don't know. It's been a while, but she fell and hurt her shoulder, and she's talking about um, that what when she went to her orthopedist or whatever, and they took a bunch of X-rays of her shoulder. So what were they trying to do there? They were trying to objectively assess what's going on with her shoulder. She was subjectively assessing it, but they wanted to objectively assess it. And that's what we've kind of put together to a certain extent, to the best we can so far, because some of this technology is expensive, and it's hard to get it um, all of it bought that you want to get bought. So we're working on that. But we have accumulated some technology that gives us a little bit of objective data. And so I wanted to talk tonight about the difference in that and what exactly that is, and what does that mean, and what does it mean to you. And some of it's going to be the beach, and some of it's going to be the plane ride. So some of it is actually going to be the nuts and bolts of what your doctor's doing when you go see them, and I hope they're doing it. Some of them are doing it, and but they're trying to. You've got a subjective complaint, and they're trying to figure out objectively what it is. So let's talk about those words for a second. What exactly does it mean to have a subjective complaint? What are we talking about when we're talking about something that's subjective? And you guys already know this, I know it, but I'm just going to go over it anyway. A subjective complaint is based on or influenced by personal feelings, taste, or opinions. It's how you feel about something. In your doctor's office, it's basically how you feel about something. So a lot of times when you go to the doctor's office, you have to fill out some sort of sheet or something that says, they might, like in a chiropractic office, it's very common to have like a little person, and you have to put an X on where you're hurting, and you have to put whether it's numb or painful or tingling or whatever it is, right? And then you have to write it on a scale of 1 to 10, and you have to say those things. You have to write them out. Well, those are all subjective complaints. You go to the doctor says, "What can I do for you? What's bothering you today? How may I help you?" And then you're going to say, "Well, doc, I've got this pain right here, or my low back hurts, or something's wrong. I'm not, I'm peeing blood," or whatever your thing is, right? Now, peeing blood's a little bit more, that's a little bit more objective, but you're going to complain about something. You're going to have a complaint. You're going to have a feeling. You're going to have something that is your assessment of yourself. That's what subjective is, right? That's your description of your environment, your internal environment and your external environment. That's your description of the beach. You're just telling us what you think of the day, what you think of what's going on with you. You're just giving us your opinion about what you think is happening with you. And that's your subjective. And then the doctor now has to take that information, and they have to go through the objective component of what's happening. And so what they have to do is they have to try to say, okay, I have a 80 something year old female that is physically super fit, goes to the gym 4 days a week, fell tripped on a curb, fell, reached down, put their arm down. When was it? It was X number of weeks ago. Okay, what's been going on since? Like the doctor they have to walk through all of those things, and then what they have to do is they have to determine what technology they're going to use to assess what you're telling them. They have to determine, am I going to take an x-ray? Does this person need an MRI? Do they need a CT scan? Are we going to do, in our office, are we going to do some orthopedic test? Are we going to go through the right eye technology, the reflex, the pupillary light reflex? Am I going to use the balance plate? What are the things that I'm going to do that I can say, okay, this is objective? And objective means it's verified information based on facts and evidence. It's verifiable. It's like you do a test, like we do a step test in the office. We have you put your arms out in front of you, close your eyes, and start stepping in place. And then I watch you move. And when you did the step test, you turn to this. Say you turn to the left. Okay, so you turn to the left. That's an objective finding that happened based on that test. Someone comes in, they've got a hot low back. They've got low back pain. They hurt themselves somehow. They fell, whatever their thing was. They've got low back pain. I'm going to do some testing in the office. I'm going to do some objective orthopedic tests that's going to tell me positive or negative. Did they feel it? Were they able to do the test? Whatever. We're going to take x-rays. We're going to look at an x-ray and we're going to see what's going on the x-ray. We're going to do our right eye scan and our reflex app, and we're going to check your eyes, and we're going to do those things. And that's my job, to try to find objective data to see if I can figure out what exactly is your subjective complaint. And so another way to look at this is to say subjective is how you feel and objective is how you function. And what sometimes I get caught up sometime on the plane ride, not the beach. I get caught up sometime on the objective part of it because I'm trying to figure out what is causing your subjective complaint. And does your subjective complaint make any sense? Does it even make any sense of what you're telling me? And is it dangerous? Is it relevant? Is it something that we should be worried about? Is it something that's going to go away in a couple of days anyway? Is it something that wasn't here last month? Like all those things. And that's one of the things that's super cool about being able to see patients over a long period of time, is that you get to know those people and you get to know their patterns a little bit. And so you can kind of start to understand when their subjective complaints go up and when their subjective complaints go down, how they feel about things. What's going on in their life? Are they really stressed out? Are they fixing to go on a trip? Are they having some problem with their spouse? Are they having some problem with their kids? Is this a really busy time for them? If all those things are yes, then most likely their subjective complaints are going to go up. Well, I need to be careful, because then if everything calms down, they kind of get back into the rhythm of life, they get back to taking their supplements, they get back to doing their exercises, and all that sort of thing is happening for them, then they're going to get to where their subjective complaints start to decrease. They're going to feel, right? Change the word subjective to how do you feel? Well, if life is busy and you're hectic and you're not getting enough sleep and you're not eating like you're supposed to, you're going to feel worse. But if you are doing all those things and you are getting your sleep and you're eating like you're supposed to and you're getting your exercise and all those things are happening, you're going to feel better. And neither one of those things are necessarily objective problems that I need to deal with. I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to give you the breakdown of the whole plane ride to the beach right there. And I don't necessarily need to even make any decisions at all, because I understand there's an ebb and flow that goes along with life. There's an ebb and flow that goes along with health. So that's an advantage that a wellness doctor has that sees their patients on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly basis for years at a time. Like the people that I see for like I've seen patients for a long period of time, I get to know them. Think about how often you actually show up in your doctor's office. When you show up in your doctor's office, it's once a year, maybe once or every 2 years, right? I think I've been to a doctor's office to have me assessed. That was someone that didn't know me. I can think of three times in the last 23 years off the top of my head that I've been in a doctor's office. Um, so if I go into a doctor's office, they don't they don't have any idea what's going on with me, and so they're not able to disconnect my subjective complaints from my objective complaints. That's something that's harder for them because all they're doing is they're listening to what I'm telling them and they're trying to figure out exactly what's causing that, but they don't know anything else about me, so they are lost sometimes. Um, we're just about to come up on a break on the radio. So you guys are listening to Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. We're breaking down subjective and objective tonight, and we'll be right back right after these messages. I really do believe that's a big deal for us that like when you go see your doctor, I really think it's um it's vitally important that you have a good it's I think it's important that the doctor communicates has a good communication skills and that you have a good communication skill with the doctor. I really think the doctor's at a disadvantage a lot of times in the medical world. Like, you know, I think there are a lot of procedures done, and this is my own personal opinion on this. It's what I've just accumulated over 23 years of working on people and being involved in this way. I think there are a lot of procedures that are done. I think there are a lot of medications that are delivered. I think there are a lot of changing of pathways that happen that are not necessary in people's lives, but the doctor married your subjective and objective complaints together and then made a treatment plan for you based on that. And if they would have just given that just a little bit more time, that subjective complaint would have gone away and you wouldn't have gotten that pill or you wouldn't have gotten that procedure at all. I really do think that's true. Um, they're just doing the absolute best they can. They don't necessarily know. And I'll show you an example when we get back from the break here. I'll show you an example that I've mentioned multiple times on the show before, but I wanted to, but that you complain about neck pain, and then they take an X-ray and they see degeneration in your neck, and then all of a sudden their objective finding matched your subjective complaint, and they marry those two things together, and now all of a sudden you're on Celebrex and you need to go to physical therapy. When if they would have known you, if you would have gone into their office last week or the week before when your neck didn't hurt and they would have taken that same x-ray, they would have found identically the same picture. You if you just stopped by, you just stopped by your doctor's office and they just took an x-ray of your neck. You had no problems whatsoever. You had no You had no neck pain at all, but you just went by your doctor's office, got an x-ray, and they saw all this degeneration in your neck. They'd be like, well, your neck sure is horrible, but come back and tell me when it's bothering you, and then we'll do something about it. Right? Their objective finding didn't match your subjective complaint because you didn't have a subjective complaint. We'll be right back. We're going to bring this back on the radio. Okay, everybody, we're back with Jason Clemmons, DC, and Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, right here on 98.7 and 1420 AM, right here, Lubbock Christian Nation. So we're breaking down subjective and objective, And during the break, I was talking to the Facebook crew about and the YouTube crew about like what happens when those two things don't match, when your subjective and your objective match, and when they don't match. And before the break, we were talking about the advantage that a doctor has that gets to know his patients over time. There, there, there's a there's definitely a an advantage to knowing. Okay, and my point was this: if your neck hurts and you go into your neck hurts, you feel the pain in your neck. You're like, man, doc, my neck hurts. It's like this is my complaint. It's like a 7 out of 10 pain, and it just really hurts. That's what you're saying. Okay, that's subjective. So the doctor is going to take an X-ray of your neck, and the doctor is going to see a bunch of degeneration in your neck. Well, that doctor is going to, if they don't know you, if they don't know your history, they don't know your past, they don't know anything, what they're going to do is they're going to marry those two things together. They're going to say, well, you were complaining about neck pain. I took an X-ray. Your X-ray looks horrible. I'm going to marry those two things together. And now I'm going to assess you with that whole thing. And then I'm going to make a plan. And there's your SOAP notes that you may have heard about in your doctor's office. SOAP, Subjective Objective Assessment Plan. So I'm going to do all my objective testing, my X-rays, my MRI, whatever I'm going to do with you, all of my orthopedic tests, all my neurological tests, all the things I'm going to do, and then I'm going to assess what I've found. I'm going to take your subjective and your objective, and I'm going to make an assessment, and then I'm going to make a plan. Well, I'm going to make a plan based on that whole process right there. And so what's that plan going to be? Well, a lot of times that plan is going to be some sort of in the medical world, that plan is going to be drugs, surgery, or physical therapy. Right? You're going to get some sort of prescription drug. You're going to get if they don't know what to do with you, they're going to send you to physical therapy. And then or if they're not or they're going to do surgery on you. Those are the things that you're going to get when you go into the office. That's the plan that's going to happen when they put those three things together. But my argument or my what I'm presenting to you right there is that if your doctor doesn't know you, there's that plan. What if you would have gone into the doctor's office 1 week earlier when your neck wasn't hurting? 1 week earlier when your neck wasn't hurting, you just dropped by your doctor's office and said, "Hey doc, I want you to take an X-ray of my neck." And the doc's like, "No, I'm not doing that. You don't have any reason to do that, right? Oh, come on, doc, just take an X-ray of my neck." Well, somehow you talked him into it. You talked him into taking an X-ray of your neck. What they would do is they would see an X-ray that was identical to the X-ray that you just took when your neck was hurting. If you would have gone in a week earlier, it would have been the same identical X-ray, but you have zero subjective complaints. What do they do with you now? Right? And I'll show you what I mean. And you say, what? You say, well, what are you talking about? So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me get to it right here because no, not that one. Hang on. I want to show you. Yeah, this is the one I want to show you. And you guys are on the radio. What I'm showing is a cervical curve that's degenerative. And I've showed this picture before, but what I'm showing here is a cervical curve. This one is the normal. So this is a normal cervical curve right here, and that means that all of the bones of the back of the bones are on the green line, and there's no degeneration in the neck, right? But look at this cervical curve on this side. Well, this one's totally different. This one, the red line is behind the green line, then it's forward, and then there's degeneration in multiple levels, and there's massive amounts of bone spurring, and there's all kinds of things that are going on in this neck right here. And what I'm saying to you is, that this would happen if you went into your doctor's office and you were complaining about neck pain and you were saying that your neck hurt and your doctor took an x-ray. Your doctor would diagnose you with degenerative disc disease, and they would say to you that you need to be on some sort of arthritis. They would tell you you have arthritis in your neck. They wouldn't even say degenerative disc disease, probably. They would tell you have arthritis in your neck. You need to be on an arthritis medication, and we might need to send you to physical therapy. But what if I was to tell you that that person right there got adjusted in my office today, and she doesn't have any neck pain at all? Her neck, she has zero complaints about her neck, and she got adjusted today in my office. And I know that she doesn't have. I know the reason I know that she doesn't have any neck pains because she gets adjusted every week in my office. Because and she's there's not any pain that's going on in her neck. So that's one of the things. That's one example of how you got to be careful in the doctor's office between subjective and objective testing. There is a difference between those two tests. And you've also, that's why I don't think it's prudent to just jump. Like if you have your neck hurts today, that tomorrow you're in your doctor's office and getting an x-ray to see what's going on. Like in one day, you can just be put on muscle relaxers and painkillers and arthritis medication and go through all this stuff that might not have had anything to do with that. It might have had more to do with how you slept last night. It might have had something to do with how much pressure you're on at work. It might have had something to do with some other factor that's causing your subjective complaints to go up. So that's just one area. That's just one area that I wanted to show you. Another area that I wanted to show you is what happens when those things don't match. So what do you do when so let's take a look at this one. And what we're looking at is we're looking at some findings here. The patient came to me with pain in the shoulder blade. Like they just have pain right between the shoulder blade and the spine right there. That's the only complaint that they had. Other than that, they said they were great. They've been doing great. They've been functioning great. They feel great. They just have this pain in the shoulder blade. Well, what I know is I'm still going to go through my testing. I'm still going to try to I'm not just going to say, okay, well, let me just pop that for you and then see how you feel. We don't do that at the Rock. They do that other places, but we don't do that at the Rock. That's not the process that we're going to go through, because I know there could be multiple reasons that you could have pain in that shoulder blade. And there could be things that are related to that are going on that you don't even realize are happening. So the subjective complaint is just pain in the shoulder, like, right under the shoulder blade, right between the shoulder blade and the spine. That's what the patient is feeling. But when we go in and we start looking, and you start looking at the different things that we found. So here's our objective testing. So we did our step test, and I didn't put all the findings on there, but I put the ones that you could see, because we do some step testing. We we look inside the throat. We do some pulse ox. We do some grip strength. There's several things that we do to test and see exactly how the person is functioning. Because I'm wanting to know about function. That's what I'm trying to figure out here. How are you functioning? Not just how are you feeling, because function is super important. So we did the x-rays, and you can see that if you can see that x-ray good enough, that you can see that there's a forward head posture that's going on and a reduction of the curve in the neck. If you just start from the top of the neck and you can just work your way down, we're not getting there's not any curve that's going along with that right there. And then you look at the lumbar spine, and you may be able to see this. I don't know how clear that this is coming through. Let me see if I can see what you guys are seeing. You might have to blow that screen up just a little bit. But in that lumbar spine, that's an x-ray that's coming from the front to the back. And there's a little bit of bend to the right side right there. The patient did not say one single thing about their low back. They didn't say anything about their low back not functioning properly. They just talked about that that spot that they have in their neck, in their shoulder blade. And so those are two things. Those are two things that I have found now from an objective standpoint that gives me a little bit more data about what's going on and why exactly that's happening in the shoulder. Now I want to use our right eye technology and I want to see how's the brain functioning when we ask the person to look at a dot that's going around the screen. How does that work? And so the that first one right there that you can see is the dot that's moving around the screen right there, where it says pursuits, and that's a 39 score. But look how it's not following the circle. There's a circle on that page, and what we should see is that we should see a very nice clean circle that's going around right there, and we're not seeing that. And then look all the way over on the right where it says fixations. And on fixations, it's a bullseye pattern. So if you're listening to us on the radio, what I'm saying is just imagine that you have two bullseyes right in front of your eyes. And we want to see, can your eye hit the center of the bullseye target? And in this particular case, the right eye did pretty decent. The right eye, it was mostly on the target, but it kind of missed it a little bit to the right. But that left eye didn't even get close. Right? That left eye wasn't even close to the middle of that target. And what that score should be is somewhere in the green shaded area. It should be somewhere above 75. Most likely, most of the time we see those scores in the 80s and 90s in that fixation score. And this particular fixation score was an 18. That left eye is not firing properly. That left eye is not functioning properly. That part of the brain that controls the eye is not working right. And so what we've got right there is we've got an overall score of 35, and where we should be somewhere in the 80s to 90s in an overall score. So that's one more objective piece of information that we could get. The bottom part of that screen is the bottom part of the screen is the pupillary light reflex. And the pupillary light reflex, you can't see those numbers because they're really small. But in the right eye, on the right side, as you're looking at it, if they're looking back at you, there's a 78 score on the concussion, and there's a 100 score in the left side. So that 78 concussion score is like, hey, that seems a little different. Even though it's still shaded green, it's a little bit different. And then down below that, it says alpha and omega pupil, and that's a 2+ AO on that alpha and omega pupil. So what I have right here is I have some objective data that went along with my exam to try to figure out why this person has pain in the shoulder blade. Right? I got to figure out, I'm not just talking about the plane flight. I'm talking about the entire plane process. Right? I'm trying to break down every single possibility so that I can help that person be as optimally healthy as possible. Not just function off of their subjective complaint. Because that subjective complaint is changing. It's based on or influenced by. Influenced by is the biggest part of that subjective complaint. It's based on or influenced by personal feelings, taste, or opinions. And it's based on what you're influenced based on how you feel. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that if you're complaining about something is hurting or you've got pain or something like that, I'm not saying that you're making it up. What I am saying is that it does fluctuate one day to the next between how you're feeling. It's being influenced by the feeling. And what you're describing feeling. Well, we've talked about this before, and I want you to think about this, because feeling is only coming from the body to the brain. Feeling is not coming from the brain to the 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 feeling goes, the feeling input goes from the body to the brain. Touch the desk, you can feel the desk. Touch the notebook, you can feel the notebook. Touch the pen, I can feel the pen, right? I can feel this, and that's subjective. How I feel is subjective. Then the brain sends information back to the body and puts the body in space, speeds up your heart rate, slows down your heart rate, helps your bones function better, helps your muscles function, put your body in posture. Like there's all those things are very common, right? Well, there's no feeling. There's no feeling here. So when we're talking about subjective, I don't know the breakdown between how many neurons there are that are going into your brain versus how many neurons there are that are going out of your brain. I don't know. There's somebody out there that knows the answer to that question. I'm not the person that knows the answer to that question. But let's just say that it's 50-50 for a second. Let's just say that there's 50% of your nervous system that goes from your brain to your body that has no feeling, and there's 50% of your nervous system that goes from your body to your brain that has feeling. Well, when you give the doctor a subjective complaint, and you go into the doctor and you tell the doctor what you think is wrong with you, that's based on, at best, that's based on 50% of your nervous system. Not your full nervous system, just 50% of your nervous system. Think about that for a second. How you feel, and then think about this. What you have to do is you have to verbalize that. You have to verbalize 50% of your nervous system. What you think it means. That's complicated to do. It's very complicated to do. It's very complicated to verbalize what you think 50% of your nervous system is doing, so that you can tell somebody what's wrong with you. It's not a sound way. That's not a sound way to work on, to really to base your health off of. It's obvious if something's wrong, that something's wrong. I'm not arguing that point. But I am also saying that waiting until something is wrong is only evaluating a part of 50% of your nervous system. Because you're not evaluating this part of your nervous system yet. So that's subjective and objective. So I wanted to show you that, because I wanted to show you exactly, like, sometimes there's things going on that we don't understand, and it's mostly when we're feeling great. It's like, oh, I feel great. Man, I feel great. If you had asked my brother-in-law a month ago how he's doing, I feel great. The last Thursday, he had a tumor removed from his brain. Now, did he all of a sudden have a tumor in his brain? Did it just take 3 weeks for a tumor to grow big enough for a marble in his brain? Or was there something going on in his brain that he didn't feel? It was happening there before, until the marble got big enough to really start messing with his brain. Did he have any subjective complaints? But I'm pretty sure that marble was there 6 months ago. He just didn't know it. There's objective data, and then there's subjective data, and that we're dealing with when we're talking about our health. That's why these checkups are important. That's why it's important to run some of these tests, check your vitamin D levels, know what your omega-6-3 ratio is. And that's the second one I wanted to kind of show, is knowing what your 6-3 ratio levels are. And it's like, I know you guys, I'm not talking about fish oil. I'm just talking about the levels. I'm just talking about, even though I love to talk about fish oil, and what's wrong with talking about fish oil, right? We should be able to do that, but that's not what I'm doing tonight. So I just want to show this one, because This is the test. This is the the arachidonic acid to EPA level test on the patient when they came in on the first visit, and they had some subjective complaints, some tired, anxiety, body pain, that type of thing, getting worn out, wasn't feeling all that fabulous, right? But they didn't have any idea that this was a thing. They'd never even heard of it before. They didn't even know that they should check their arachidonic acid to EPA ratio. And what it was 31 to 1. And so when they came into the office, for the very first time, their omega 6 to omega 3 ratio was 10.6, and we want that to be less than 3 to 1. And then they wanted that arachidonic acid to EPA ratio, we want that to be 3 to 1 or less. That's our target. And what does that mean to me? That means inflammation. That means inflammation of the joints. That means inflammation of the fascia. That means inflammation of the muscles. That means inflammation of the brain. That's what a 31 to 1 ratio means to me. We talked about this last week. That's what respiratory viruses do to people when they're 31 to 1. Those are the people that go to the hospital that can't breathe. If you're worried about your respiratory virus situation right now and you're worried about all those sort of things, you should worry about whether or not your 6-3 ratio is balanced. So what happened is this particular person, this was actually the person that we were talking to in the assessment yesterday was, and it's like, look, the post after taking about 4,000 milligrams of a little over 4,000 milligrams of fish oil for 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know exactly what the time frame was on the two tests. They went from 31.1 to 3.8. Objectively, they are functioning better. I know that because I studied this particular test. Objectively, their body is functioning better. Their objective finding is an improvement right there. I don't even care what their subjective improvement is, to tell you the truth, on this first date, because I know for a fact that their body's functioning better. Now, you would think that when their body does function better, that their subjective complaints, the way they feel, would be better, right? And in this case, it is. It's amazingly better. It's really feeling great. Like it's really a positive. The subjective complaints have been way better. The anxiety's been better. The energy level has been better, and the body pain has been massively better. And really, the main thing that this person did was they did the 21-day detox program that we have through standard process here in our office. And then they took the supplements based on the information that we objectively found from them, subjectively and objectively found from them. And that's all the treatment that they had in the office. They came to us for a nutritional evaluation. We did the nutritional evaluation. We made the recommendations. They followed the recommendations. And in 6 to 8 weeks, they had an improvement in subjective complaints and objective complaints. There's a change from 31.1 to 3.8. I hope by the time that you finish watching these shows, you will understand the value of the omega 6-3 ratio and the arachidonic acid to EPA ratio in your body. If you can change that, you can move yourself towards wellness. And if your doctor doesn't understand that, then you should call some doctor that does understand that. That's the difference right there between anxiety medication and non-anxiety medication. That's the difference between arthritis medication and no arthritis medication. This person's got joint pain. If they go to their doctor with joint pain, their doctor tells them that they have arthritis and that they need some sort of Celebrex or Vioxx or whatever their thing is, Tylenol 4 or what, right? All those things. But if they go to a wellness doctor and their wellness doctor shows them that their 6-3 ratio is out of balance and then gets them the nutrients that they need to have their body function properly, all of a sudden they are much healthier. Whew. Yeah. Subjective and objective complaints. Subjective is how you feel. Objective is how you function. What you're really trying to accomplish is great function so that you can live the most optimal life possible. That's what we're trying to do with you right there. So I hope you guys got something out of that. I hope you enjoyed that show. Um, it was sometimes we just got to get into how we fly the plane, right? Sometimes it's not just about the beach, even though I'm going to work really hard from this point forward to show you a little bit more of the beach and see if we can do that better. So hope you guys have a great night. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock with our book review night. So you guys have a great night.